Nevada County. It's your friendly neighborhood political correspondent. It's been a while since my last piece because, not much has been going on in the political world. Kidding. Never a dull moment over here. Today's guest has been a local leader in several capacities, dedicating herself to her community and making a profound impact. In retirement from business ownership, she continues to serve now as a Nevada County Supervisor representing District 3. She's someone I look up to as a model of service and savviness, and I'm honored to host her here today. Welcome, Supervisor Lisa Swarthout. So this is a fairly informal conversation.
Great.
Let's just dive in.
Well, thank you. And I look up to you as a community leader as well, and all the wonderful work that you do in the community. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. So let's begin. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, your professional, personal, that kind of led up to your supervisor run?
Sure. So my family moved to Nevada County in the late 70s, and I graduated from Nevada Union High School in 1980. And after high school, like all good Nevada Union graduates, we all leave, but eventually we come back. So I left for college, and I lived in San Francisco for a while. And I moved back in 1989, and I opened my business, which was Mill Street Clothing Company, a women's clothing store on Mill Street that I owned and operated for 30 years.
Wow.
It's hard to believe, but yes. And as a business owner downtown, I was very committed to the whole downtown community, the business community, and so I was appointed to the Grass Valley Planning Commission in 1995, where I served for 9 years. And part of my role there was to really work with the entire community, but specifically working in the downtown community with the Grass Valley Downtown Association, with the Chamber of Commerce, making sure that aesthetically Grass Valley was kept to be a really beautiful place. And then in 2004, I was elected to the City Council, where I served for 4 terms, 16 years, retiring from there. And 2020, my duties there included serving as mayor 2 separate terms, and for 2 years, 2009, 2010, and then my final 2 years, 2019, 2020. So I had a little bit of the COVID years in there. But I've just always been really drawn to community service, to helping our local nonprofit community, in particular working with the business community, the Economic Resource Council, the Center for the Arts. I was one of the founding board members of the Friendship Club, which is now Bright Futures for Youth. It's had an incredible run in our community, and I'm very proud of my work there. But, I just really felt drawn to community service. My dad was one of the original founders of the Grass Valley Downtown Association and had been very involved in the community when he was in business as well. And so just really kind of hit home with me, and it's what I wanted to do.
Great. So you ran for supervisor.
I ran for supervisor, yes.
Yeah.
I started my campaign in 2021, and I was elected in November of 2022 for a 4-year term.
Excellent. Yeah, I went to one of your campaign events, and it was really cool to see all the support that you had from the community, and also to hear a little bit about your leadership roles in the community.
Yeah. No, it was a really great experience. I would say it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Oh, really?
You're just you're out every day and every night talking to people, listening to people, finding out what the issues are in the district. The city, when you're on the city council, you represent much smaller boundaries, just the city limits of about 14,000 people. And then going up to the Board of Supervisors, you actually represent about 20,000 people, but the county is about 100,000 people. So you're really dealing with a lot, different issues, bigger issues, things that we didn't really work with in the city. So It's been a learning curve since I've been there. I was sworn in on January 3rd. So I've just finished my first 6 months.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
So speaking of boundaries, so it sounds to me like from what you're saying that District 3 isn't just Grass Valley city limits.
No,
Can you describe a little bit?
Sure. So District 3, so 64% of my district is in the city limits of Grass Valley. So, and then I have the outskirts. So we go out Highway 174 to the Cedars, the airport, which when they did, the state did redistricting last year. I also have the airport is in my district now, so it goes all the way up to actually the Nevada city border there. And then I have a little bit out to Rough and Ready, and then Allison Ranch Road, and down 49 a ways, and then down the Bar Meadows Road a ways. So it's the city limits is the majority of it, but then definitely the outskirts. Definitely District 3 is the most urbanized district of the 5 supervisorial districts, and it's also by boundaries, it's the smallest district.
Okay.
We all share equal population, but I look at the work of my associate Sue Hook, who is just the District 4 supervisor, and she has Penn Valley and Lake Wildwood and North San Juan and just, rough and ready. So it's a far greater geographical area, all the same amount of people, but, much different layout and different things, different issues that she's working with that I'm not working with in my district.
Right. So when you expanded the boundaries of your personal jurisdiction, from being a city council person to a supervisor, and you took on these new people outside of the city limits, was that like, did you find that they were dealing with different issues as well that they were bringing you?
Definitely dealing with different issues. So fire prevention is a huge issue in the more rural parts of the county. When you live in the city limits, you're served by the City of Grass Valley Fire Department, and you really no one lives more than 4 or 5 miles away from a fire station. When you're out in the county, I actually have 4 fire districts in my district.
Oh, wow.
Consolidated, Grass Valley, a little portion of Rough and Ready, and then the Ophir Fire District. So that's probably one of the bigger issues. Cannabis is a different type of an issue. The county has grows. The city is doing more dispensaries and micro businesses. So dealing with a little bit of agriculture, not a lot in my district, but a little bit of agriculture, which is not something that you deal with in the city limits of Grass Valley.
It's not. No.
And then also. So the cities don't do any health and human services. That's all at the county. So the whole child protective services, adult protective services, health department, social services, and behavioral health. Those are all things that I'm learning about and helping my constituents, if they need it, navigate through those programs.
Okay. All right, thank you. So you mentioned that you guys each have about 20,000 apiece, and so it must be pretty equal, as far as when you're coming to the table with your fellow supervisors. You all have your area. So what's it like collaborating with this board?
It's definitely different because we do represent a specific district versus the cities are at large who represent everybody. So. And I would say that as a supervisor, we do represent everybody. I've had people call me who've had issues, things that I'm familiar with that don't necessarily live in my district where I'm able to direct them. But it's definitely, if you have an issue in your district, or if I have an issue in another person's district, it's the appropriate thing is to go to the other supervisor and make them aware of what's going on. But we all work together, and I would say everybody kind of has their own area. Some of my colleagues are very into the whole resiliency and climate change. District 4 Supervisor Sue Hook is a rancher, so she's very well versed in agriculture and ranching in the county. The District 5 Supervisor up in Truckee, he has a whole different set of issues because he works very collaboratively with the town of Truckee as well as Placer County because they're in that Tahoe Basin. So, we all do different things. We all have our strengths, but I'd say we come together as a group and make decisions as a group. And so far, I've had a very positive experience working with everybody.
Oh, that's cool. It sounds like a really balanced crew too.
So I've worked the least with your supervisor, Chair Schofield, who represents the South County. But there's a unique set of issues out there. I'd say the storm damage and fire damage is really big in District 2.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, it is.
And the power outages, that's one thing in Grass Valley, in my district. We have not had to deal with as much of that as other areas of the county.
Right. Well, so as far as the balance of skills and experience and collaboration, let's hope with the upcoming elections that we can, strike a good balance again.
Sure.
So you guys work together collaboratively. I understand that there are some priorities that are set for the Board of Supervisors. Will you please talk a little bit about those? Like who sets those?
Sure.
And what are they?
So every year in January, the board and the senior management staff has a board workshop, all completely open to the public. It's 3 days, usually towards the end of January, where the priorities for the year are set at that point. The county operates on a fiscal year, so our year starts July 1st and ends June 30th. So we're basically setting the priorities And then the finance department starts working on the budgeting because there's always financial obligations that are attached to those priorities. So what I found this year, because I was the new person, a lot of the priorities that they're working on are carryover from the previous year. So I will say I didn't have a lot of input. I was 3 weeks in when we did the sessions, but it was really interesting. And I share some of the strong opinions on things moving forward. One of the priorities has been recreation and doing a recreation master plan, which is something that I'm very interested in. And then the climate change and the resiliency is also a goal that's moving forward. Fiscal responsibility is very big at the county, and so having a balanced budget. We actually have our first budget workshop next Tuesday, and then we will vote on the final budget on the following week. So, those are some of the areas that I'm committed to. Cannabis regulation is another one, working with the cannabis industry to make sure that, we're setting them up for success, and then also working to make sure that the illegal cannabis is dealt with. So, that's been a priority at the Board of Supervisors for several years. So continuing forward with that, those are some of the big ones.
So compared with 2022, would you say that rec is bigger in 2023, or what would you say is like a big difference between this year and last year, maybe the year before?
Because I wasn't up there, other than just watching, I would say that if anything, they've strengthened the commitment to the recreation. And there's a dedicated person who is working really hard on it. They're doing a recreation survey right now. So they're, that was one of the areas I was really happy to see the county participate in, because it's always been passive recreation has been the issue in our community, trails and mountain biking and hiking. But there's definitely a real commitment from the county to make sure that we're doing both passive and active recreation. One of the most exciting projects that I've seen that I'm really happy that they're still working on is the Mines to Pines Trail, which will build a trail between Truckee and Nevada City, which really opens our community up for not only for our residents, but also for people wanting to come up here and recreate and stay in the hotels and eat in our restaurants. And now they have this great, maybe week-long hike that they can do with some camping and different things along the way. So,
that does sound fun.
Yeah, that's a really great project.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you representing District 3, do you feel that you have a set of priorities for District 3 that might be different from the board as a whole? And if so, how would you advocate for those?
So I would say, one of the things, there's 3 of us who represent incorporated towns or cities. So one of the things for me is having a really close collaborative relationship with the city of Grass Valley. And because I came from there and I still have great relationships with all the people that are there, that's probably my top priority, is making sure that we're working together. We've had some discussions on some joint ventures, various projects that we've worked on over the years. Maybe doing a combined animal shelter, that just some things like that, where we're not duplicating services in our small community, but we're really working efficiently for all of the community members. So I'd say that's probably my number one. Because my professional background is in small business, I'm very committed to our small business community. COVID changed a lot of how we recreate, how we seek out entertainment opportunities, how we shop, how we go out to dinner. So really trying to work with the local business community to make sure that they're getting whatever they need from government so that they can be successful. And unfortunately, we've seen some business closures in the community over the last couple of years. But as I've seen those, I've also seen new people coming in, taking over those spaces and also creating some different opportunities. So those are probably my main priorities.
So do you have, as a supervisor, anything to do with, for example, Mill Street or the parking issues, like any of the hot button issues in Grass Valley?
I lived it and breathed it for 30 years as a business owner downtown. So, I've been watching what's been going on with the street closure and with the parking, and I really just want it to be successful. And I know it's been a struggle for some of the merchants, just because you have street closure, and then you have construction, and then you have 2 weeks of snow, and then you have rain in June, which hasn't happened in years, and so there's many challenges. But as far as being a decision maker on that, that's up to the Grass Valley City Council. So
Gotcha. And do they collaborate with the Economic Resource Council, which is for the county?
Actually, the ERC is a multi-jurisdictional organization.
Gotcha.
So the county has 2 seats on the board, and then the cities each have a seat as well.
Okay.
So we all kind of work together. And I'm the alternate on that committee from the county, so I haven't really been attending their meetings, but have been very involved with them over the years, and hope to get back onto their board at sometime in the future.
Gotcha. So what about you? So we've talked about how District 3 can influence your priorities for the board. What about your political priorities? What are some overarching cultural elements that you bring into the board? I think one of my strengths is in collaboration and bringing all parties to the table and not working in silos. So I feel like, because of so much of the nonprofit work I've done in the community, that I really have an advantage there, that I know a lot of people. We all sometimes talk about what's your superpower, and I think my superpower is my ability to pick up the phone and call people and ask them for what you need, or to invite them into a process. And we live in this world of cell phones and emails and texting. Sometimes it's great just to have that one-on-one personal discussion with somebody. So that is something that I enjoy doing, and we've worked together. I like to talk a lot, even to teenagers sometimes. But yeah, I think that communication and collaboration are the keys that I'm trying to bring to the table, and make sure that the work that we're doing at the county, people know about, and the work that I'm personally doing, my constituency knows about, as well as the other partners that we have in the community. And the county is really partners with all the cities, the town of Truckee, Nevada irrigation districts, all the fire districts. I mean, we all work together, and when you're in a small area like this, it's really important to build those relationships to get things done. Okay, sounds like it's a cool thing to bring. So speaking of communication, how have you found to be a good way to communicate with constituents, as far as like broadcasting to them what you're doing and what's going on, and then also to receive their feedback?
So, honestly, the most communication I have with my constituents is when they need some help with something. And I have a very strong policy on open door. I will call every person back. I'll respond to every email that I get. Right now, I think people are still finding that I am the new District 3 supervisor. My predecessor was there for 8 years, and so the county promotes us on the county's website, on the Facebook page. I made sure that when they put up my page on their website, that my cell phone number was on there, as well as my desk number, as well as my email address. So there's ways for people to reach out to me, but it's been very interesting. I haven't had a lot of constituent communication. So during the storms, I did get some, because people were really frustrated with PG&E and waste management and Comcast and all those issues that we had. But it's been pretty interesting to see what people's needs are, and my district is pretty self-sufficient.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is there a way, like there's in the newspaper for Ed Scofield's district, there's
they do that, yeah.
The little blurb,
right.
There's the press release type of thing that he does every month or so.
Right.
Is there?
It's funny that we don't do that in Grass Valley. One of the things I found that's interesting. So like in District 2 or District 4 or District 5, they're so spread out, and they do a lot of activities. For example, District 5 or District 4, they have the Humbug Days in Rough and Ready, and they had the Cherry Festival up in North San Juan. And so the supervisor from that district, she does a lot of those community events. In Grass Valley, the majority of the events I think that I've been participating in have been the downtown street closure events, where I do have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, just because they draw a lot of people. So but we don't have volunteer fire department pancake breakfast in Grass Valley anymore. We should.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I'm always up for a pancake breakfast.
But so. And it's interesting because there has not been a lot of public participation in the meeting since I've been elected. So, and I find that people really only kind of come when they have a problem and they want to vent, which is great. And if any of those issues ever come and somebody is in my district, I will absolutely always call them back and make sure that whatever their needs are, they're getting taken care of.
Gotcha. Well, you keep giving me these amazing transitions because now I want to talk about something that was bringing the public to the meetings, and I know that was the mine.
Yes.
And so can you maybe speak to that real quick, and as well as maybe some other things that we can be expecting people to be coming up for.
So. Definitely development issues always bring people out because it affects your neighborhood. So when you do a project, you have to notice within a certain footage of the project area so the neighbors know, which is a great process because you want people to know what's going on. Absolutely, the mine reopening has brought a lot of people to the table. The Planning Commission meetings were last month. It was 2 full days. I believe there were over 300 people who showed up both days to either just listen or to share public comment. The County Board of Supervisors is getting ready to hear the mine project. I believe it's going to be the first part of October is what they're telling us right now. So my anticipation is that there will be a lot of people who will show up for that meeting. Oftentimes, for example, we had a meeting yesterday and there was a group from the grand jury that came in because they wanted to honor our county council for her help with them. And, as board members, we can bring individual items to the board. And so my colleagues have brought items, honoring like Dr. Roger Hicks and his work with UBIDocs. And at our last board meeting, we had Aaron Tarr from the Bear Yuba Land Trust who's talking about the trails and it's Trails Month and what's going on for that. So really anything that's of interest to the community, we are open to having an item on the agenda as long as it's something that that is of interest to the community, not singular issues.
And how would someone get something on the agenda?
By calling their supervisor.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of my interview. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you. Except one, and that is getting a little personal. What is something in your career that you are especially proud of?
Probably my longevity in the retail world. Small business is hard, retail is hard. I had a very successful 30-year business. I've been closed for almost 4 years, and I still have people come up to me in the grocery store and say, "Oh my gosh, we miss your store so much," and it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad, but it also makes me feel good that people appreciated the work that I did. But yeah, I think that's probably one of my proudest things. Obviously, my government work. I was very proud to get elected to the Grass Valley City Council 4 times and to serve for 4 years as mayor, and equally as honored to have been elected to the Board of Supervisors. And people put their trust in me, and hopefully, I won't let them down.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community and for our youth, as my fellow advisor with the Youth and Government Program.
Let me make one more pitch, because you're gonna find out about this too. So, Allison Lehman, the county CEO, had asked me about the opportunity for starting a youth commission for the county. So that is something that myself and one of the other supervisors are co-sponsoring. We actually have our first meeting next week, so hopefully you will be involved and come and listen, because you've done such great things for the youth. But I think that one of the reasons behind the county wanting to do the youth commission is that trying to engage young people in what local government's like, and maybe if they see something that they like, encouraging them that perhaps at some point they might want to have a job there. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to work with the kids. I've had a great time working with you on the Youth and Government Program, and we've had some great kids go through our program.
We have.
I think we will continue to have more.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So if you'd like more information about the Board of Supervisors and District 3, head to nevadacountyca.gov and look under the Government menu. And if you have any feedback on this piece, please email me at ncnpolitics@gmail.com. It has been my privilege to be with you today. Remember, when it comes to politics, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. And thank you, Supervisor Lisa Swarthout, and thanks for staying informed, Nevada County. I'll see you soon with another special guest.